the thing that he said too about Brady over and over again that I took out of this. You know, it's not telling any tales out of school that Brady's one of one. He's a unicorn, right?
Yeah.
And I just think that he's a unique individual from many others. Certainly when you're talking about Jordan or anything like that. I don't know Jordan personally, but just hearing Brady here, that he's a sensitive guy who responds to positivity and a hug.
Yes.
How many guys who will want to stomp your guts out?
I like that.
Professionally.
Yeah, not many.
Would rather, who would love just a hug. Sometimes I just need a hug, right?
Right.
But the fact that he didn't get them a lot is a theme in his football life. Yeah. As you just heard from, I did not know who Greg Harden is. And I'm a Michigan guy. I've never really heard his name very much.
Never heard that
he
name.
referred to him as his counselor at Michigan, who he's spoken to at Michigan, who he went to say he was transferring to Cal, which
hadn't heard that.
Kind of hadn't heard that one before.
Yep, hadn't heard that.
And then he was going to go back home to Berkeley, right, and go play football there because he wasn't getting any reps at Michigan. And the response from his counselor at Michigan, God bless you, sir, was, you haven't done S here anyway, so go.
And no one's going to care.
Yeah.
If you leave.
Those who stay will be champs, like that's Bo's mantra. And so here he is with Lloyd Carr's era, and he's just like, so go. Laughing at him. Yeah. And then the same guy, he said he spoke to, Wickersham said Brady spoke to in 2003 when his life was beginning to change fame-wise, and he was kind of, jarred by it and upset by it.
Like
the trappings of fame were now coming on him, and the guy's basically like, you wanted to be one of the best. Like, this is what comes with it. Deal with it. Like, the deal with it aspect of it is something that I think he got used to and responds to very well, which made him the perfect quarterback to be coached by Bill Belichick. Until later in his life, he's like, there's another way to live.
Yeah. I don't need this anymore.
Or I do need that, but I can also get my platform larger. I'm going to start paying attention to other things that I can do outside of just being coached hard. I'm going to start living some of the trappings of all of this and start building my brand outside of being the guy known for winning all the titles and giving you hometown discounts. And not only do I want to start telling you what to do with that discount, but I want to start my TB12 program. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then they'll be told, after receiving all the hard coaching the way that he did, that that's not the way we're going to do it here. That's kind of what I got. And the fact that he's such a kind of a gushy guy with the heart of a champion and the guts and the mentality of a nasty MFer when it comes to trying to beat him at something, that the gushy guy inside, the fact that Wickersham said that they might play a video honoring him in tribute, thus the hug that he's been looking for from the Patriots organization publicly. They may do that either at the outset of the game or when he sets the all-time passing yard mark in the middle of the game, just to mess with Brady's mind, that it would be heartfelt, sure, but also gamesmanship, because it could throw Brady off of his lion-hearted game.
Right. That's so messed up, man.
Oh my gosh. It's
so
Game of
messed
Thrones. It's Game of Thrones.
So messed up,
and so that's what I took out of all of this about how unique it is. And in terms of, you want to hear what, Brady being a gushy guy or what have you, I would present to you him crying in the Brady 6 documentary, remembering the moment where he's walking around the block to try and get out of the house because he's a second-day draft pick, not knowing when he's going to be picked, and seeing his family being upset for him. And this is after he's won championships, plural, and he's beaten all these other guys into the ground. He's won. He's a winner. He's a winner in life, and he's a winner in football. He's still emotional about it because it's his parents involved. This is him in his pod with Jim Gray and Larry Fitzgerald called Let's Go, right? That's what it's called?
Let's go.
Okay. This was him because, his dad, Tom Sr.,
yes,
really brought it locally on the radio last week.
Yep.
And, put out there a lot of the internal hard feelings and bad blood that's in advance of this Sunday night reunion that Brady kind of doesn't want put out there, as Tom Curran pointed out. Like, just keep it under the radar. Let the final score take care of all of that. So Tom Sr. said this stuff, and this was Brady responding to Tom Sr.'s comments.
Comments made by Thomas Edward Brady, a 77-year-old insurance company CEO who should know better at this point in his life, doesn't necessarily reflect the views or positions held by his son, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. So furthermore, should Tom Sr. continue to speak out on behalf of his son without the express written consent, Tom Jr. reserves the right to eventually put him in a home against his will. That's all I have to say.
I mean...
Then he also said, though, is that his father's he's a loving father. That he's a loving man, and that's what he loves about his dad, and that's what he understands. Like, I understand. Like, everybody's gonna mess with my kids, they're gonna hear from me. I remember my father, may he rest in peace. Like, oh my gosh, like if you slighted me or my mother, or
right,
my brother, but he would say something, and it would be sometimes a little awkward when he would say something right then and there. And Brady talking about the love of his father and his father's love for him. I know that kind of what did fuel Michael Jordan as well, but I mean, this is a unique unicorn 7-time champion who's coming to stomp your guts out, but also wants a hug. And the fact that he didn't really get the hugs is the reason why he's coming back as a Buccaneer, I think. And that's why Wickersham's called his book, It's Better to Be Feared, because Belichick thinks that.
Yeah.
And Belichick thinks it's better to be feared, and I think Brady thinks it's better to be loved. And put those all together, and it's an all-time classic story. It sounds like a Shakespeare play.
For real.
Which is why this book is so dramatic. I don't mean to be really, I don't mean to sound like an English professor / psychologist, but it really is that, which is why this book's such a page turner and the whole country's going to watch on Sunday night.
What did you make of Seth saying he thinks they're going to hug pregame?
Yeah, because it's still 20 years, man. It's
don't
still
you think they're
20
both going to
years.
still be locked into win mode? Like they're not going to take a moment?
You watch stuff before the games. Everyone goes up to say hi to everybody. There's an opportunity.
I know.
There's an opportunity.
I was surprised about that, though.
And I'm telling you, one day, Brady's going to get his red Patriot Hall of Fame jacket, and Bill's going to get his. And they're all going to come back, and they're all going to have stuff going on together. It's going to happen. And the person who can tell us about all that is one of our guests on Friday's show, Brett Favre. Thought he'd never go back to Green Bay, right? Who was there with Aaron Rodgers and Bart Starr a couple of years ago? Who's there all the time? Now, I know that, there might have been some figurative cheddar being handed to him for that sort of thing to help bygones be bygones. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.